Higa. Let us now move to Nakuru, where education officials and school heads drawn from 4 counties in the Central Rift region have congregated at Nakuru Boys High School for the extra county schools Form 1 placement exercise. This comes just a day after the national schools placement exercise was concluded. Our reporter Alan Ochanda now joins us live from Nakuru. Alan, a very good afternoon to you. How's the process so far? Good morning to you. How's the process so far?
Well, good morning to you, Akisa. Indeed, this chilly morning here in Nakuru Boys High School, where school heads, high school heads and education officials drawn from 4 counties, that is Samburu, Laikipia, Nakuru and Baringo, have congregated here. Those are the 4 counties that form the Central Rift region that now want to ensure that the pupils who sat for their KCP examination just 2 months ago have slots in their schools, those extra county schools, starting January next year, which is of course next month. Remember that in tandem with the commitment from the Ministry of Education led by George Magoha, where he committed that they will have a 100% transition from primary to high school. And so the 184,000 pupils who sat for the KCP examinations will now have their slots here. Remember that the exercise is being led by the Rift Valley Regional Director of Education, John Ololtua, and Education Ministries from Nairobi, who have just congregated here. And just a couple of minutes ago, they have also read the speech from Professor George Magoha with the Cabinet Secretary for Education, just indicating and reiterating his commitment and the ministry's commitment in ensuring that there is 100% transition from primary to high school. And also remember that they have reiterated the statement that the government is committed to ensuring that there is free secondary education, especially for the day scholars, and especially to cater for the tuition fees, and just reading the Riot Act to the school heads to ensure that the money is distributed and disbursed by the Ministry of Education is directed to the purposes it was intended to, so as to ensure that they just ensure that everything is running as outlined by the blueprint from the Ministry of Education, and ensure that every pupil that goes to high school is actually catered for. Also remember that this exercise comes in the wake just some 24 hours after the Education Cabinet Secretary, Professor George Magoha, led a similar exercise, but for the national school placement for the pupils, for the pupils who were just sat for their KCP a couple of days ago. And so also remember that some pupils who sat for the exam and their parents had expressed dissatisfaction that they had not been placed in the respective schools of their dreams. But remember that Professor Magoha had indicated that such pupils are just chosen less than 11 schools. Remember that they were supposed to choose more than 2 schools, but some candidates had chosen just a minimum of 2 schools, and just shrinking their space, shrinking their options from those who were placing them. Remember that they were given a multiple choices of school. But remember that such schools, like especially the national schools and the extra county schools, have received numerous and more than what they can just accommodate in their slots. And so the Education Cabinet Secretary was quite clear and precise in saying that they will ensure that every pupil, irrespective of his or her choice of a school dream of school, he or she will be placed in a school that they term or they deem is suitable to just cater for their academic needs. And so it's an exercise that they say it will be running out across the whole country to ensure that they successfully carry out the exercise. Also remember that the county schools will be carrying out the exercise in the due course. And so, Akiza, it's a story that we're still keeping an eye to just ensure that as we began from when the KCP examination was being conducted in the country, throughout when the placement is being done, and throughout when the KCP candidates will now be transitioning to high school and the secondary schools next year, January. Akisa.
Well, thank you very much, Alan. Of course, he'll be giving us more details on how this extra counter school placement exercise goes. Alan Ochanda, they are joining us live from Nakuru. And of course, we will be keeping an eye on that. Remember, it has become a big issue, especially on the issue of space and the 100% transition rates as the government is trying to achieve from primary to secondary school. I would like us now to take a quick break here on News Center. We're getting back to our last quarter shortly. We have more news lined up for you. Stay with us.